Hello and welcome back to a regular episode of Fun Facts.
Fun Facts.
God? Is that you? Anyways, today we're going to be doing a video about crossing the frontier and surviving the Old West. So buckle up your wooden seatbelts and hold on. In a world with facts that are possibly entertaining, we bring you today's episode of Fun Facts. Dusty trails and unforgiving land. Today, you and me are going to travel across the West together. And we're going to get prepared and make sure we have all of our supplies before we leave. To start off with, you've grown tired of your land and you've decided to travel west. Now we have two options. We can convert an old farm wagon into a travel wagon, or pay a sweet pretty penny to get a custom-made Oregon Trail wagon, which will cost you most of your livestock. So, deciding on the farm wagon, we're going to go ahead and convert that, and it'll be about 4x10. And here's some of the supplies you're going to need. Starting off, you're going to need 400 pounds of bacon, 600 pounds of flour, 100 pounds of sugar, 200 pounds of lard, 50 pounds of dried peaches and apples, 4 pounds of tea, 50 pounds of rice, and 100 pounds of miscellaneous things such as cornmeal, butter, baking soda, salt, whiskey, and brandy for medicinal purposes. And oh my God, we will get into that. Our total weight capacity coming to 1,564 pounds. Now, our 4x10 wagon can only hold 1,400 pounds. We're going to have to make a second one. Luckily, we used our own farm equipment and we have just enough left to make a second. Now we're only going to load each wagon with 1,200 pounds because the more weight, the more stress on the wagon. So we have 2,400 total pounds. We're going to add an extra 836 pounds of tools, tradable items, canvas, wood, and extra things to help us repair the wagons. So luckily, we had a farm before, and we have 4 to 6 oxen to pull each wagon. So we'll go with the total of 12, and these oxen probably won't make it the length of the adventure. So we'll have to use them for meat and or trading supplies along the way. So we're finally ready. Everything's packed up. Our family of 4 is ready to go. It's you, the wife, and 2 kids. Everybody hops on the wagon and you start riding. Only 50 yards out, both of the women volunteer to hop off because of how slow it is and how horrible the ride is. Another 100 yards and you're teaching your son how to drive because you're not going to ride on that shit either. 300 more yards and you're walking next to one wagon, your son's driving the other, and your first wheel breaks. You're able to fix it by sundown, and you set up camp, just 400 yards from home. We start packing up before dawn and meet the local wagon train at the edge of town right as sun rises, and we head on our journey. Now down to iron tacks, or whatever you have aboard your wagon to hold stuff together. We have to travel over 2,000 miles. On our best days, we may hit 15 miles, but that is our best days, and you know how many times we have those? How many times have you had one lately? That's what I thought. Anyways, we continue on our journey. Traveling starting as early as 1840, there would be anywhere from 30 up to 200 wagons per train. Going along this journey, you would have to do without a lot of things, like clean clothes, clean water, baths, anything such as that. And with unhealthy diets, this would bring on a lot of disease and infection, such as cholera and dysentery. Symptoms would give severe dehydration and could kill within a day. Now, about 4% of the travelers would pass before the journey's end, and actually 9 out of 10 of those were from disease. Don't fret, it wasn't all bad. Now, wagon trains weren't attacked as much as we originally thought. More likely, locals were found to be helping out as guides and trading for local supplies. This was actually a crucial part of making the way through the trail because the Oregon Trail wasn't actually a set trail. It was more guiding to and from local landmarks, and these locals had the best knowledge of the ways to get through the easiest. Now, a typical day on the trail would start around 4 a.m. to the sound of a horn or a gunshot. By 5 a.m., all the cattle were rounded up and everyone had started making breakfast. By 7 a.m., you better be in the wagon and done eating because we're leaving. At this point, men would ride ahead on horses and scout out the path, while the train traveled slower behind. Stopping around noon for 1 hour to have a lunch and quick rest, and then finally ending that day right around 5 p.m. After circling up the wagons, everyone would get to chores and start making dinner and be ready for bed by 8 o'clock. Oftentimes, a certain few would have to stay up to watch the animals and the wagon, but they would get switched out right around midnight. So you're halfway through the trail and you're finally common with most diseases and things that can happen along the way, such as burns, syphilis, diarrhea, the common cold, tuberculosis, cholera, Denver fever, malaria, influenza, typhoid fever, typhus, and yellow fever. Say as you're to be unlucky as to get a snake bite along the way, which happened quite often. Well, the obvious way to treat it would be to cut it open and try and suck out the venom, which actually did help in cases. But for the pain, they would just give you a shot of whiskey, even for the kids. Say you're unlucky to get diagnosed with syphilis along the way. Well, things you could be prescribed would be mercury, and a much safer option, which they came out with later, was arsenic. Okay, look, so this is kind of how it went. Well, hey there, Doc. My mouth hurts and my tooth aches. Well, dear civilian, here's some of Carl's cocaine drops that work from everything from sore mouth to sore throat to sore teeth. Oh, doctor, I'm gonna be having a baby soon. What shall I do? Well, dear civilian, just smell this here rag. It's chloroform. Doctor, lately I've been having some coughing symptoms and...
Diarrhea.
Well, that's okay, dear civilian. Try this heroine. Back in the day, they did all kinds of stuff like this. I mean, it was even as simple as if your baby was crying, they would give him a little bit of morphine. So it was just kind of ridiculous, but it worked. It was probably super dangerous, though. A full 6 months later, and we make it all the way through our trip and find a place to make our homestead. Now, those are some of the fun facts about traveling across the Old West, and we'll pick up next time about how to survive in it. See you then. Stay safe and buckle your wooden seatbelt. So we oh, god damn it. And we finally found a spot to lay down our land and...
That's not how it works.
Thanks. Well, dear... By noon, everyone would stop and have a 1-hour break to rest and have lunch. Okay, hold on. Yeah. No, just leave it on.
Okay, turn it off.